Hi, this is Josh Kulp. This is the video for Daf Shevui of Masechet Ketubot, Daf Samekh Daled. We're actually going to touch on a couple issues that were brought up in Daf Samekh Gimel of last week, but were continued on the first half of Samekh Daled. And that's namely the issue of Moredet, the rebellious wife. And I want to talk a little bit about forcing divorce, the idea that a woman is stuck being married to a husband that she does not want to be married to. Now, let me just say this right out here. I think there are many problematic halachot that are difficult to observe in the modern period, but probably the most difficult halacha is the way that Jewish divorce law developed over the centuries. The Torah barely talks about divorce, but it does say that the husband puts the divorce document, sorry, it doesn't use the word get, it uses the word sefer kritut, a scroll of cutting off. The Torah describes the husband doing this for the wife, which is probably a reflection of how things were done back then, but really doesn't tell us all that much about divorce. But the rabbis in various places throughout the Mishnah and the Talmud say that the husband divorces according to his will, but a woman does not get divorced according to her will. Now, mitzad echad, on one hand, what that means is a husband can divorce his wife against her will. If she wants to stay married and he wants to divorce her, he has a right to divorce her. That probably does not seem so problematic to us, although I should note that was changed later in Jewish history as well. What seems more problematic to us is that it doesn't say there that a woman can initiate divorce, and it even seems to say that if a woman wants to be divorced and the husband doesn't want to be divorced, we do not force the woman to force the husband to divorce her. However, it does go on to say, the Mishnah in Gitin, to say that if the law mandates that he divorces her, the court or other people working on the court's behest can force him to divorce by literally beating him. So there is a mechanism, according to the Mishnah and the Talmud, to force a husband to divorce his wife. Moving along with the issue of when does the court force a husband to divorce his wife? Clearly when he's transgressed the laws, when there are certain problems with him, when he's done something immoral, such as taking an oath that he shouldn't take care, then the Talmud seems to have little problem with forcing him to divorce her. The question that comes up in our sugya is, what if she just doesn't want to stay married? He's done nothing wrong, but she just doesn't like being married to him anymore. She says in the words of the Gemara, and this is paired on Samekh Gimel, Me'isalai, literally means he's disgusting to me, but I don't think we have to take it so far as to mean he's actually disgusting. She just doesn't want to be with him anymore. And the question is there, do we force her to remain with him, or do we take steps to force him to divorce her? All right, so there is a machloket amoraim about the case of Ma'isalai. According to a Meimar, lo kaifinin la, we don't force her to remain with him. And according to Mar Zutra, kaifinin la, we force her to remain with him. And the halacha is ruled according to a Meimar. According to a Meimar, we don't force the woman to stay with the husband. That's an important point, and I'll explain in a moment why that is an important distinction. The Gemara goes on our page on Samekh Daled and says something like this in relation to the issue of the money. All right, and the money is an important issue. We tend to neglect it now, but the idea that a woman can be divorced, so we force a divorce, but she would lose all of her assets is a terrible option for most women. The Gemara says, Mashinan la trese yarche shata agita. We wait 12 months before she receives the divorce, and during those 12 months, she does not get provided with food. So those 12 months seem to be the Talmudic version of a cooling off period, a chance for her to change her mind and say that she wants to stay with her husband. The problem is she's not being fed during those 12 months. So let's talk about the bottom line in the Talmud seems to be that the worst case scenario for a woman is that she would sue for divorce, she would lose many of her assets, and she wouldn't be fed for 12 months. But at the end of 12 months, she could force her husband, the court could force her husband to divorce her. The Geonim, the rabbis who came after the Talmudic period, had a problem with this. And they said, look, if we cause her to lose all of her assets and we cause her to lose her provisions for 12 months. What kind of justice are we doing for her? And they always had this constant fear that women would convert to Islam, and the Muslim judges will force a divorce immediately, and then she would be basically a Muslim henceforth. So basically, the Geonim made a takana, an enactment, one of the very, very rare times that the Geonim actually changed Jewish law. And there are different versions of exactly how this went, but they said basically she can get most of her property back, most of the dowry, maybe not all of it, but most of the dowry back. And in addition, that we don't wait 12 months, we force this divorce immediately. That was the Gaonic law, and again, for various forces working on it throughout Jewish history, made it, I think, ideal in a sense, or much fairer for a woman. She could basically sue for divorce. She could get a divorce quite rapidly. She would retain most of her property, and there was some kind of equivalency here. If the husband initiated a divorce, he would lose something, and if she initiated a divorce, she would lose something, which is probably not that different than the way it is today. I'm not going to go into what happened to that. Suffice it to say, this is a short video, suffice it to say that most Rishonim in Germany and France did not accept this takana, did not accept the enactment, and were very, very reluctant and became increasingly reluctant throughout Jewish history to force a divorce. And eventually, basically all sectors of Judaism became prohibited a court enforcing divorce, which created the modern problems that we have this day. I'm not here to solve all those problems, but I just wanted to give you a little bit, a regular chat, the Talmudic background to where the issue comes from, and at least how it was treated in the early days of its development.